Well, the New South Wales Government is set to scrap a Chinese government-funded language and culture program and replace it with one run by the New South Wales Department of Education. New South Wales Greens MP David Shoebridge joins me live now. Good morning to you, David Shoebridge. Thanks for your time today. So what do you make of this announcement to scrap the program?
Well, this announcement is 6 years, 7 years too late. This is an arrangement that should have never been entered into. And in fact, we only got this review and we only got this report because we were about to force the release of this review through a vote in the New South Wales Upper House. The initial draft report was finished in November of last year. It made clear that the Confucius Institute and the arrangements with the Confucius Institute were deeply inappropriate. Chinese government officials inside the New South Wales Department of Education, but nothing happened until really we had to pressure the government to release the report through those numbers in the upper house.
So for those who aren't aware, I mean, how widespread is it? I mean, how many schools are we talking about that kind of benefited from this program?
Well, there are dozens of schools across New South Wales, government and non-government schools that have had the Confucius Institute program. And the arrangement between the New South Wales Government and the Confucius Institute of China has always been secret. And we can see now why it was secret, because it has almost no checks and balances. It has a board that is dominated by, in this case, 7 out of the 13 appointments on that board were Chinese government appointees. And indeed, the New South Wales Government signed an agreement that saw it get a US $150,000 upfront cash payment to enter into this arrangement. I mean, quite an extraordinary proposition. It's like being paid to give a foreign government access to our own school kids.
And just correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about $10,000 that the schools were paid from the Confucius program in exchange for, teaching the language, the Chinese language, amongst other things.
Yeah, there's an upfront $150,000 US. These are all US dollar figures. I mean, why on earth the New South Wales Government is entering into agreements in US dollars? But they're all US dollar figures. $150,000 upfront payment to establish it, and then $10,000 payment every time a new Confucius classroom is established, together with the Confucius Institute providing the teaching and the curriculum resources inside our own schools. So
the government has now moved to replace that program, right? So there's still going to be courses within these schools to teach the Chinese language to students. Do you think that's a fair move?
Well, the government's made the first step to cancel it. Of course, the secret agreement had a secret clause that said it requires 6 months to be terminated. So they've triggered that termination clause, but that won't take effect until early in the new year. Of course we should be teaching Chinese language. Of course we should be teaching Chinese cultural studies. And a rich engagement with the people of China is 100% in our two countries' interests. But we should not be having... And the report makes it clear, we should not be having Chinese government officials from a one-party state sitting inside the New South Wales Education Department. And this was the only occasion across the globe where we had that arrangement, Chinese government officials inside another country's education department.
Do you think now that there should be awkward questions that may be asked to universities? Because as I understand it, since 2014, about 8 universities have closed off its links to the Confucius program.
Well, I think any Australian education institution that's got a formal arrangement with the Confucius Institute should come under vastly closer scrutiny right now. And we've seen a lot of the controversy in Queensland University, and it's a very reasonable level of controversy because we have a university basically under an obligation to provide PR resources and PR outcomes for a Chinese government institution. How on earth have we got to that point in our education system? Is it, and I think it's largely a question of a scarcity of adequate public funding, that we have schools and universities literally going out and selling access to their students and in selling their reputation in this way. I think every arrangement needs to be made public and needs very close scrutiny.
So do you think, I mean, through all of this, that students were aware? You talk about, that this all needs to be made public. Do you think students were aware? And especially, I mean, young kids aren't really going to know. They're not going to know the ins and outs of propaganda that might well be taught to them through schools? I mean, do you think parents would have been told about this? Should university students might have had a better idea about this?
Well, we know for a fact that parents and school kids didn't know about this because all of the arrangements were secret. None of them were published. None of these details were made public. And we find the same at a university level. Most of the arrangements are secret. And even, you know, university students, yes, they're young adults, but they're hardly going to be interrogating the financial arrangements, the PR arrangements, those institutional arrangements that underpin their course. You know, they'll be turning up and doing a course on the assumption that it's part of a university in a free and liberal society which isn't under any kind of inappropriate influence from a foreign government. That should be a reasonable expectation from all students, and they shouldn't have to be, you know, Inspector Clouseau to try and find out whether or not their course has integrity or not.
What do you think, I mean, more broadly speaking now, the links between Australian universities, and it's been well publicised in recent days, because we do need the business, we do need the knowledge from China in our universities. But where do you think that the line needs to be drawn about what is taught to Chinese students in our universities and what isn't?
Well, we need to ensure that our universities at all times uphold our society's liberal values, and that is open to critique, different viewpoints, critical analysis of our own government, critical analysis of other governments. And we need to ensure that is non-negotiable in all of our universities. The problem is with these arrangements that the New South Wales Education Department and different universities have made, that basic principle has been negotiated away for a cash payment. And that, I think, strikes at the heart of an independent, principle-based education system at a school and a university level. I mean, I think it's wonderful. You go onto our university campuses, they're amazing multicultural places. We have people from all over the world, many people from China, all over the world in our campuses. But we need to make sure that those courses are being taught consistent with our values, not with a foreign government's values.
All right, David Shoebridge, good to get your thoughts. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good speaking.